this will bring you to the condition of danger. And danger condition is when you're going up, you're doing good, you moved up out of non-existence, and now you're still in danger because you're not yet making enough product and you don't have a lot of experience yet. So sometimes you're still a bit weak, or people bypass you, or you're not sure about what you're doing. But usually when we talk danger, we are talking about a situation that this business or activity existed and was in a powerful condition, went down, and now it's doing bad. It's crashing and it's going down. It's danger. And if you don't apply danger, you're going to be hitting non-existence. You're going to be noni. Okay? Now, important datum here. We live in a dangerous environment. All the time, things around us are volatile, are changing rapidly. And we have accidents, we have catastrophe. Suddenly we have a war in Ukraine. Suddenly we have bad weather. Suddenly things happen to us. So all the time, there are dangers or potential dangers in our environment. COVID, Corona, affected many of us. Nobody controlled it. Nobody knew it was coming. Boom. So we live in a dangerous environment, and there are 5 scenarios when we assign a danger condition. The first one we said is easy, simple, is good. You did it. Non-existence, you went up, and now you're in danger. That's going up. If we had emergency, which is a flat statistic for too long, and you did not handle emergency, and now it's going to start dropping, then emergency declines into danger. Third possibility of danger is a statistic, your production going down steeply. Okay? Sudden drop, you must do something. Or a catastrophe happening, things are very bad, suddenly, it's a danger. When you find someone else is doing your job is to sweep the floor here, but you come in and somebody else is sweeping the floor. So he's taking your job away from you. This is dangerous for you. Okay, you know you need to do something, someone else is doing it for you. Dangerous position. And the last thing is, if you're a manager or a leader or an executive, and you know that somebody has a job to do in your organization, but suddenly you find yourself wearing the hat. To wear the hat means to do the work. And you find yourself doing somebody's job because Junior is not doing his job. Okay, so you have to do somebody else's work for them because they're not doing their work. So that's a dangerous situation. Because if somebody's not doing their work, you have to do their work, you cannot do your work. For the organization, it gets to be a dangerous situation. Okay, somebody is messing up, you have to do their work. So we have 5 scenarios of danger. You're doing a good job going up from noni into danger. An emergency has continued too long, which means flat, unchanging too long, without improvement. This goes into danger. A sudden drop, danger. Somebody doing your work for you, you're in danger. And a manager and executive doing the work of somebody else. Danger condition, okay? Now, we have 2 variants or 2 types of formula for the danger condition. We have individual danger condition, what I must do as an individual with myself, and we have executive danger condition formula, which is what an executive, a manager, has to do when they identify a danger in the organization or a danger in the unit. So individual danger, you assign this condition to yourself. You say, oops, I'm in danger. things are not going well. This is my danger condition, and you do the following steps. Bypass. What does bypass mean? When I drive a car and somebody is very slow, I bypass them. Okay, to bypass, to go in front or to go instead, or to do something instead of someone else, to pass them. So I have my habits and my normal routines, what I do every day. But if I find myself in danger, oops, what I'm doing is not working, is not suitable, is not serving my purpose. It's getting me into danger. So stop doing whatever it was that got you into danger. Urgently do something else. So I cannot just go around humming and doing my routine. I have to do something different. Okay? So bypass. And of course, handle the situation. So there's a dangerous situation, things are not going well. I have to urgently do something else. Something is risking my survival. I'm in danger. So I bypass, I stop my routine, and I handle the situation and assign yourself a danger condition. I say to myself, wow, that was dangerous. I had to bypass, stop my routine. I had to handle, but now I must take responsibility for the situation, meaning I need to actually look at myself. What was my behavior that was out ethics? We spoke in the beginning about in ethics, out ethics. What is pro-survival? What is counter-survival? What are the things that I do that are bad for my survival? And I have to recognize it and take responsibility for things. And get in my own personal ethics in. I was doing something out ethics, and I use self-discipline. I correct myself. Okay? So this is something I do with myself, being honest with myself, considering what I do. I reorganize my life. So what was my pattern, or what was it that I was doing? My way of life, my routines, and what got me into danger, and now I need to reorganize my life. I went to the bar every night and I was drinking, and then I go to bed late at night, I don't get up in the morning. I got fired from my job. So in the next job, of course, I'm not going to go to the bar every night drinking until late. I go to sleep early, I get up in the morning, I go to bed. This is reorganizing our life. Once I reorganize my life, I need to see what was the policy that I was operating on. And I need to formulate, which means to build up new policy for myself and adopt. Live according to some policy that would benefit me and keep me on a successful trend and prevent a future danger condition. Okay? So this is individual danger formula. Executive danger condition is what you do as a manager on an area that you supervise, okay? So it can be just you and another individual working with you. It could be you and your husband, or you and your wife, or you and your kid. You have a son, a daughter, they go to school, and they get bad grades. So they're not being a good student at school, and you have to sit with them and help them do homework and prepare for exam. Have you ever done this? Help your kid with schoolwork? So that's a danger condition. The person who should be doing their job, they're being in non-E. They're not doing the work, they're in non-existence. Or they don't recognize the danger condition because mama will always be there to help me, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay? Or maybe you work in your father's business, in your dad's business, and you know, well, the business is going good, and my father will never fire me, so I don't have to work hard. Or the situation is in such a mess, going so bad, that the person directly responsible doesn't know what to do about it. He doesn't know how to handle it. He cannot regain control. Okay, it's spun out of control, it's going bad. So you, the senior, have to step in And you must say, okay, this is a dangerous condition in this department, in this area. I have to handle it. So the first thing you do is bypass. So you say to the guy, okay, move aside, I will do the work. When you do the work that somebody else should be doing, you're bypassing. Okay, you're doing it instead of them. And then, of course, you're working instead of the other guy, you're handling the situation. If you have a client calling your office and the person who should be there answering the phones, you went out shopping, nobody there, you answer the phone, right? So when you answer the phone, you're bypassing, and when you tell one guy, okay, you answer the phones now, you're handling the situation. But the person who should be answering the phone isn't answering the phone. Or you have a client calling and say, I want to buy an apartment, I want to buy a house. And you ask an agent, somebody who's in your organization, please handle this client. Okay? So give me a name of a worker. Who works for you?
Peters.
Peters. So you ask Peters, okay, Peters, Mrs. Smith called, please handle Mrs. Smith. And 2 days later, Mrs. Smith calls again, and she says to David, did you send an agent? Nobody called me. He said, oh my God, what happened with Peters? He's not handling. And you call Peters, oh yeah, I'm home, I'm sick, I have a backache. Yeah, but Mrs. Smith is waiting for you. Well, I don't feel well. So what is the condition of Peters? Non-existence. Definitely danger. Maybe he was a good guy before, and now you don't know yet. So you're not firing him yet. Non-existent will be to fire. So, okay, you no longer work for me. But now he's not doing his job. So you handle Mrs. Smith. You say, I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith. Yes, the agent wasn't feeling, okay, the agent, you make some story, which is okay, and can I help you? And you meet Mrs. Smith, and you handle her. So you are actually, number one, bypassing Peters, who wasn't doing his job. Then you handle the client, because you don't want to lose the client. You know that this Mrs. Smith came from America with a lot of money. She wants to buy a big house in Riga, and you want to get, so you've got to get the job done, okay? Once everything is okay with Mrs. Smith, you can take another agent whom you can trust and say, okay, you continue with Mrs. Smith, but you will always now watch it to make sure Mrs. Smith is happy. You cannot lose her twice. Now, you have to look at what happened in this area. What happened with Peters? Why wasn't he handling her? Or maybe I made a mistake of referring a client to another agent, but not monitoring, not watching what's going on. And you tell this guy, Peters, you're in danger. You must stop. You have to do the individual danger formula. Handle fully the individuals. You call the guy in because Peters messed up. You call him in and you have a talk to them. And you handle the people who cause the danger condition. You tell them you're in danger. You're putting ethics in on that person. We have tools for it. They're in the book. I think chapter 11 of the book, you have tools to increase the responsibility level of the individual. Because you expect a person to be in a position that he takes responsibility. But we want to be able to raise a person's responsibility, that a person can see more and do more. Okay? So raising responsibility, and we reorganize. So you say, okay, we had a little danger condition here with this Mrs. Smith. So first thing, I need to reorganize my work. When I have a client approach the company, I will put them in our data management or in our CRM contact system, okay? And I will keep track. And every day I will ask the agent, did you talk to this person? Did you meet this person? So my own tracking, my own follow-up, okay? As an executive. So this is part B, reviewing the operations, and maybe I did not manage correctly. I need to reorganize. But Finally, to answer your question, repeat offenders, okay? Somebody who messes up again and again, and he's in a danger condition, and somehow he gets out of the danger, and again danger, and you can see that he's out ethics, and he does not handle, and finally, this person, you need to replace him, you need to let him go, okay? So we try to help the individual, and if we can help the individual with number 4, handling the individual, putting ethics in. If this does not work, then of course I go to, if they're handled, if I see the person really had some catastrophe and he couldn't help it, I say, okay, you're back on post, but don't let this happen again. If it happens again and again, he's a repeat offender, we let him go. Okay, and I review what I did and what are my mistakes. Finally, for the company, I would formulate and adopt firm policy. The company has a policy book, has agreements on how it operates. Big organizations have a law book. A country has a parliament, and the parliament makes laws all the time. And this is a policy book for the whole country. So we have policy, and some of the policy is written policy. Most of it is agreements. We talk and we have common sense. Like my organization in Haifa, we don't have a book, okay? But small organization, we don't write everything. We talk to people. We expect that they understand, and we run it by logic. So the logic of how we run the organization is our policy. But if something was wrong in our policy, in the way we run things, then we have to formulate and adopt new policy. Okay? And the new policy will detect future danger. So we want policy that if in the future something goes wrong, we can see it, we can detect it, okay? And of course, we need to ensure that danger does not happen again, okay?